Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It remains our firm belief that the executive accountability to Parliament will always promote national unity and gives meaning to the public participation policy in our legislative processes. In underscoring this fundamental democratic principle, we once more affirm the centrality of Parliament in ensuring that accountability of the executive is always upheld at all times. In line with this principle, in October the 22nd, 2022, the President gave Parliament the Cabinet's response to the recommendations of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the allegation of state capture, corruption, and fraud in the public sector. Consequently, the President outlined the work and actions that has already been done by government departments, law enforcement agencies, state-owned enterprises, and Chapter 9 institutions to give effect to the Commission's recommendations, including the required reforms to prevent any future acts aimed at state capture. Certain recommendations have a bearing on the interplay that exists between Parliament and the executive branch as a result of the Commission's investigation of the role and the oversight responsibility of Parliament. Some of these recommendations, among others, are the following. Parliament must consider establishing a committee for oversight over the President or the Presidency. Parliament to introduce a suitable tracking and monitoring systems for implementation of corrective actions proposed for Parliament. Parliament to consider principles of a mandatory accountability in an act of Parliament. Parliament to consider additional measures involving the Speaker and the President to sanction non-compliant ministers. Parliament to consider legislation or rules to deal with the late submission of reports by representatives of the executive to Parliament. Parliament to consider legislative measures for non-attendance to parliamentary responsibilities by members of the executive. Parliament to implement rules to assist it further in sanctioning cabinet members for non-compliance. Parliament to put in place mechanisms to prevent unlawful use or abuse of power by the executive. Collectively, these issues are crucial to the accountability, transparency, oversight, and improving legislative and executive democratic norms and practices. In response to the Commission's finding and recommendation, government departments, law enforcement agencies, state-owned enterprises, and Chapter 9 institutions are working on a wide range of interventions. We are mindful that Parliament will employ its very own procedures and processes in order to implement recommendations concerning the effective interplay between Parliament and the executive branch. This includes issues of strengthening existing oversight mechanisms over the executive. As leader of government business in this Parliament, we will make every effort to cooperate with the presiding officers in order to put the Commission's recommendations about the work of the executive and the ministerial branches into action. We'll also assist in advancing government's efforts to combat fraud and corruptions across public and private sectors, thereby improving public confidence in the value of democracy and the rule of law. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.